This is Miasmor, the first ever bug dragon type Pokemon. This beautiful creature is a powerful physical attacker with amazing options like Stab, Megahorn, U-Turn, and Scale Shot. It can boost itself up with Swords Dance to set up for a sweep, or just use a Choice Band for immediate firepower. Miasmor also has the incredible ability Neutralizing Gas, which was previously only available to Weezing. This ability disables the effects of all other abilities on the field. With this, Miasmor can ignore enemy abilities like Unaware or Levitate while it's attacking. Bug Dragon is an interesting typing defensively. It's neutral to fire unlike other bug types, but still vulnerable to quite a bit, especially Stealth Rock and common Fairy and Ice type moves. But Miasmor makes up for those shortcomings with well-rounded stats, an excellent stab combination, and even a pretty decent special defense to take incoming hits. It looks like they did a pretty amazing job on the first ever Bug Dragon type, didn't they? This really lived up to the hype. Except this Pokemon isn't actually real. This is a completely fan-made Pokemon. You honestly could have fooled me. This is such a great creature design that looks like it would fit right into a Pokemon game. It even has its own 3D model and an evolutionary line. It evolves from Miasmite, who seems like a real baby version of this that could exist. Miasmor is a Pokemon from the CAP format on Pokemon Showdown, which stands for Create a Pokemon. You can play this competitive format right now for free in your browser, and it's really cool. CAP is a project where the community comes together to design all new Pokemon with a focus on believability and competitive functionality. The design process for these Pokemon is meticulous, and you can absolutely tell. A lot of fan-made Pokemon designs miss the mark, to be honest. It's often very clear they're made by a fan without much game design experience, with their overtuned stats or over-designed traits that don't fit within the Pokemon universe that well at all. But I think the CAP project has my absolute favorite fan-made Pokemon designs I've seen anywhere. Miasmor is just one example of a fantastic design that would not feel out of place at all in an official game. Some of these even outdo real Pokemon designs in my opinion. Let's take a look at one example of a beautiful Pokemon design in this format for every single type in the game, and showcase some of the creativity and design brilliance that can be found in Pokemon fan communities. For the bug type, we've already talked about Miasmor. But what about the normal type? Why don't we start there? What interesting ideas can they come up with for an all-new normal type in the CAP project? My favorite example of a new normal type would be Chromera, who has a wonderful name and visual design, beautiful 3D model here. Chromera is a normal dark type Pokemon with the ability Color Change. This is the exclusive ability of Kecleon in the main series, and it's a really interesting concept that I'm glad they've explored on a new Pokemon. With Color Change, your Pokemon's type will change to the type of whatever move it just got hit by. You get hit by a water move, you're a water type now, and that's true of whatever move hits you. This is one of the most unique abilities in Pokemon, one of my personal favorites in the series, and it's a shame that it's on a pretty average Pokemon like Kecleon. It hasn't been explored to its full potential, and Kecleon is an extremely limited Pokemon. It doesn't have the best stats in the world. It has a high special defense, which is okay, but it has no healing, very low speed. Chromera, on the other hand, is a little bit more functional, I would say. Chromera has really well-rounded stats. Great HP, good defenses, especially its physical defense of 115, a high special attack, and even a high base speed of 100. Extremely solid stat distribution here. It also has access to Recover, which is a big help. That's going to allow it to take advantage of the defensive utility that Color Change could provide much better. Most types in Pokemon do resist themselves, so transforming into the type that just hit you can be very advantageous defensively, and being able to heal certainly helps out a lot with that. Chromera also gets Calm Mind to give it some ramping potential, some boost sweeping potential. You do have nice stab types with Boom Burst and Dark Pulse. Unfortunately, of course, Color Change will remove your stab when you change type, but these are still fairly good moves. And this Pokemon has some cool utility up its sleeve too. Toxic Spikes, Knockoff, Switcheroo. Its attack is very low, so it can't take very good advantage of physical options like Knockoff and First Impression that it has access to. But I think this is a pretty interesting Pokemon design that is much more functional as a color change Pokemon than Kecleon is. This Pokemon isn't seen that much in actual competitive play because of those limitations. That glaring weakness to fighting is a big one. And color change can be an awkward ability. A lot of Pokemon carry coverage that just hits the type you turn into. For example, if you get hit by a water move, they might just carry electric coverage and now that hits you. But I could see this being a niche pick, a good choice in certain interactions where you do punish Pokemon by transforming into their type. And I love the flavor of the Pokemon visually. It's based on the Chimera, the mythical creature, but it's Chromera because of the color change mechanic, allowing it to transform into different types at will based on what hits it. It seems to be a legendary based on the fact that it doesn't have any pre-evolved form and its stats are quite high, so this could be seen as like an unrestricted legendary, and it is about that power level. It does feel like many other unrestricted legendaries in the main series. I think they really did a good job on this one, and it's not too broken, is what I mean. It's not over-designed, it's not over-tuned. I really like it. For the psychic type, we have Oromoth, who is a bug psychic type, and right off the bat, that's a very bad typing, and one that's probably hard to design around. So many weaknesses. Rock weakness, psychic is a terrible typing in modern times, weak to bug, ghost, and dark, which are just common offensive types seen on every single team. And bug has even more weaknesses like flying, fire. So how do you design a functional bug psychic type? It seems like it's dead in the water already. Well, Oromoth is a really interesting offensive Pokemon with two good ability choices that can help to overcome its unfortunate typing. Weak Armor is the first one, an ability that grants +2 speed if you're hit by a physical move at the cost of -1 defense. This ability has a lot of potential, and it makes it awkward to actually hit the thing that's right in front of you. Oromoth has good enough bulk to live a hit and then take advantage of that weak armor boost alongside Tail Glow. Tail Glow raises your special attack by 3, and I think this is a great way to offset the poor typing. Tail Glow alongside weak armor is kind of like a make your own quiver dance, and if you're also running a weakness policy, which is a great choice on this, granting attack and special attack +2 if you're hit by a super effective move, Oromoth can almost invite you to hit it. Like, look how weak I am, look how many types I'm weak to, go ahead and hit me. And then it boosts up its speed, activates the weakness policy, and it's got Tail Glow, and now it's going to destroy your whole team. It's a bit like Volcarona, who also has a poor defensive typing but a explosive game-ending snowball potential with Quiver Dance. This is a similar idea, I think, but in a way that invites the enemy to hit you to activate its power. Weak Armor is one way to go, but there's also No Guard as an ability, which is an amazing ability. No Guard makes it so that all moves used by either Pokemon are perfectly accurate. This means Focus Blast, an infamous move that always misses, now cannot miss. You also have Blizzard to take advantage of this. Blizzard cannot miss with No Guard. Thunder is another option. Thunder cannot miss with No Guard. And actually, your attack is pretty decent. You have mixed attacking stats, so you could go Mega Horn for some bug stab on the physical side, especially if you're running a weakness policy. And this can't miss either. It's got 120 power. That's pretty damn incredible. So Oromoth uses its weaknesses against the enemy with the weak armor set, and it could also be No Guard. So there are two different avenues this Pokemon can output aggression. As soon as this Pokemon hits the field, it's going to instill fear into the opponent, and it's going to command the battlefield in a way few other Pokemon can in this format. I think it's a tremendous Pokemon design, and a great way for a bug psychic type to go in terms of all its other traits. Weak Armor Tail Glow is such a fun combo on this typing, and I love all of its offensive options. I love a good mixed attacker. This is just a delightful Pokemon all around, and a really nice visual design too, a great 3D model. Another win from the Cap project. And what about a fighting type? What unique direction could they take the fighting type in this format? The most competitively central fighting type in Cap is Argonaut, a water fighting type Pokemon. And once again, beautiful name and visual design. No 3D model for this one, unfortunately, but I love the hook and sword tentacles it has. It's a pirate theme, and this is a primarily defensive water fighting type Pokemon. This is a type combo we've seen a few times in the series. There's of course Keldeo and recently Quaquaval, the new water type starter in Gen 9. But both of those are very aggressively focused Pokemon, as most fighting types tend to be. They have defensive advantages, of course. It's a great defensive typing, but those Pokemon lean more into aggression with boost sweeping sets and immediate pressure from stuff like Choice Specs on Keldeo. Argonaut, on the other hand, is a fully defensive Pokemon, and this is an amazing defensive type combo, it turns out. Argonaut has Recover and Spikes and Knock Off, and you know, that's a recipe for success, of course. Circle Throw with Stab on it is pretty fantastic on a defensive Pokemon. You often need a little stab attack, and this doubles with its utility, kind of like a Dragon Tail type thing. And the ability here is Unaware, which is obviously absolutely incredible. Unaware ignores all stat boosts from other Pokemon. It's one of the best defensive abilities in the game, and Argonaut, if this really existed, this would be a top tier Pokemon for absolute certain, and that's what it is in Cap. It's one of the best Pokemon in the game. Maybe you could say that this one is a little bit overtuned. I mean, Unaware with these stats and this move pool, it's a lot. lot. It is a fun thing to have in the format, though. I think it is a satisfying defensive typing, in my opinion. I like water fighting typing. It's one of my favorite type combos. This guy can be a little bit annoying to fight, though. I mean, it's so good defensively. It completely stops you in your tracks, and it has so many things it can do on a defensive switch. Get rid of your item, make layers, or shuffle you around. This Pokemon is a lot, but it is cool. For the rock type, you've got Stratagem. This guy is so cool. It's a mono rock type with two great choices for abilities: Levitate, which you can never go wrong with, Ground Immunity, or Technician, which is an amazing offensive ability, granting 1.5x power to moves with 60 power or less. Stratagem is a really fast special attacker. It's frail on the defensive side, but it's got 130 base speed and 120 base special attack. I love that this is just an all-out rock type special attacker. We have seen some rock type special attackers in the series before, like Nihilego, the Ultra Beast, and recently Glimora, but this one is a little bit more min-maxed. Higher speed, lower defenses, and two great ability choices. Technician can of course boost up Ancient Power, which is really great. It can also boost up Vacuum Wave, which is a priority move with 40 base power. So that's a cool option. That's about all there is for Technician though. There's physical options, but your attack is very low, so that's not great. For that reason, Levitate is the more common ability on this, but it can certainly output enough damage with its regular old special attacks. This guy has so many great options. It has Meteor Beam, which alongside a Power Herb can bypass its charge effect and be a massive rock type nuke that also grants you a special attack boost. And you can carry that to victory sometimes with all the rest of your coverage like Energy Ball, Earth Power, etc. Paleo Wave is an exclusive. I think this is an exclusive move. I don't recall this ever existing. Paleo Wave has 85 power. It's a rock type special attack with a 20% chance to lower attack by 1. Really solid rock type stab option on the special side. A little bit better than Power Gem. There's nothing that complex about this Pokemon, but we haven't really seen a Pokemon like this in the main series. Just an all-out special attacking rock type. And it seems to be a really good choice. Kind of a late game cleaner or just fast, aggressive Pokemon. Almost reminds me of like a Dragapult, but a little bit worse defensively, but better offensively. The visual design and name are on point as well as usual. And it does have its own 3D model, which they did a great job with too. For the ground type, there's quite a few, but the most central and most commonly seen ground type in this format would be Equilibra. Every format needs its good old utility defensive ground type, and Equilibra fills that role here. Once again, the name and visual design are fantastic here. This is the scales of justice. It is creating equilibrium in the metagame, as many bulky ground types do. This is a ground steel type Pokemon with the ability Levitate, which grants a straightforward immunity to ground. This Pokemon has tremendous stats, great HP and special defense, and high special attack. So it does feel a bit unique compared to, counterparts like Iron Treads and Excadrill over the years, similar ground steel types, or even similar bulky ground types. This is a special leaning Pokemon, which is a bit uncharacteristic of ground types like this. Ground types tend to be physical coded with like Earthquake and high defense, high attack. This is the inverse. Low speed on this, low attack, and it's got great stab options. Earth Power and Doom Desire are amazing. It has Rapid Spin, and what I like about this is that it doesn't have a straightforward healing move like Recover, Slack Off, etc. It just has Pain Split, which fits with the theme of the scales of balance and whatever, averaging both Pokemon's HP stats. Fits with the Pokemon flavor-wise and game design-wise. I mean, this shouldn't have a direct healing move in my opinion. I think that's a good choice. This is a Pokemon that's very easy to fit on teams. It brings balance to the format in the same way that bulky grounds like Great Tusk and Landorus Therian do in other formats. But this is a unique take on that role that I really love, that defines this format, makes it stand out a little bit. So it is really good, but I mean, ground types tend to be good competitively. This doesn't feel too out of place to me. I would like this in the official game. This would be a good presence in my opinion. It is a reliable spinner. It even has some damage output to speak of, and overall a slam dunk in the design department in my opinion. Love this one. For the poison type, here is one of my favorites. This is what I'm talking about. This guy is crazy. Fidget. A poison ground type weird spider with human hands. This is the kind of weird stuff you sometimes see in Pokemon. It reminds me of like Bruxish or something. You know those weirdo Pokemon that you find in the mid game that nobody likes, like Garbodor, but they have their own unique charm to them. One of the Pokemon designers went a little crazy and tried something avant-garde. This is Fidget. It is sort of bizarre looking, but I think it's brimming with creativity. It's got a great 3D model and a very unique mechanic with the ability Persistent, and it's one of those things I'm surprised this doesn't exist in the main series. Feels like it would fit right in. When used, the effects of Gravity, Heal, Block, Safeguard, Tailwind, and Room effects, for example Trick Room, last for 2 more turns than they normally do. This is brilliant because, in competitive singles, those effects listed there, like Tailwind and Trick Room especially, aren't the best because of the limited turn count that they last for. They only last for 5 turns. They don't include the turn you set it. So Trick Room teams can be okay sometimes for hyper offense strategies in singles, but you only have 4 turns really where you can go in with the Trick Room and take advantage of it. A lot of people have suggested maybe there should be a Pokemon that creates Trick Room as it switches in, but this is another cool approach where Trick Room lasts longer, or Tailwind lasts longer. Fidget can be an interesting utility lead Pokemon because it has Stealth Rock and Encore and Healing Wish, which are nice utility options, and it can create Tailwind that lasts for way longer than Tailwind usually lasts for and makes your slow Pokemon fast for multiple turns. And this guy's stats are kind of average too. It's another thing I appreciate. It feels like a real Pokemon because of this. It's just some random middle of the road guy, but it's got this unique ability that's really cool and it randomly has really good utility moves. Healing Wish is an interesting one because you lead off with this Stealth Rock, Tailwind, and then Healing Wish to pivot out to a threat that is now boosted by Tailwind. And Healing Wish gets stored if it doesn't heal something, which is an interesting interaction. If, you Healing Wish and then switch to something that's full health, it won't consume the heal, but if you switch something in later that's been damaged, it'll heal it then. So it can be a great offensive utility option for that reason because it doesn't get wasted. It gets stored for when you need it most and can be used in the short term just to pivot out, and then later it will give you value. I think this Pokemon's fantastic. And it's the kind of thing that makes you want to build teams. It makes you, well, how can I take advantage of this? And it can use Trick Room, it can use Gravity. You could build a Gravity team with Fidget. Maybe you got like Hypnosis and inaccurate moves that now get boosted by Gravity, or you spam Earthquake and it hits everything now because Gravity lasts longer. Such an awesome design. Up next, we've got the water type representative, and for me, this was a shrimple choice because Krillawatt is a beautiful creature, isn't it? This is a shrimp Pokemon with electricity. It's a water electric type. And, I've said thus far that most of these Pokemon are not that overtuned or overdesigned. Krillawatt, it's a little shrimp, and they kind of made this the most broken thing on the planet. Krillawatt is crazy. It has Magic Guard, which we know is one of the best abilities in the game. Complete immunity to all indirect damage, so you can't poison this, hit it with hazards, hit it with anything. And Krillawatt randomly has 151 base HP. It certainly doesn't look like it. Little shrimp. I don't know what's going on with that. Some real Iron Bundle type stuff going on here. To be fair to Krillawatt, this guy does have very low special attack, so at least that's a balancing factor. But this Pokemon is very good, and you can chuck a Life Orb on it, which of course grants extra damage at no cost because you're immune to the recoil. And your move pool is outstanding. You got Volt Switch to pivot, the perfect stab options of Surf and Thunderbolt, and even Ice Beam for a complementary option. They may have went a bit crazy with Krillawatt, but I can't help but love this. It's a little shrimp, and it's a central and very powerful offensive pivot. To their credit, though, it does feel fairly balanced. It's not dishing out that much damage. It is fast, but not monstrously fast or anything. The HP is kind of cool, gives it some bulk, but yeah, this does feel targetable. You can eliminate it, you can wall it, but at least it's uniquely broken, right? It's not broken in an obvious sense that's like a 4-year-old could make it. This is a little shrimp with big dreams, and I can appreciate something like that. For the flying type, we've got Cormodor, and I gotta say, this one is unrealistic. You would never see this in the real Pokemon franchise because Game Freak could never create something this cool. They're not capable. This is funny bird with backwards cap. It's a steel flying type, but it's a little bit different from the steel flying types we're used to, such as Skarmory and Corviknight. This is a more offensively leaning steel flying type with a focus on its wide offensive move pool and abilities that help it to set up. This guy has Intimidate, which we know is amazing, of course, lowering attack on switch in, and with this typing being so good defensively, that alone should sell you on this. But it also has Volt Absorb for a complete immunity to Electric, one of your greatest weaknesses on a steel flying type. Magnezone is going to be very upset when it attempts to trap this and finds that its electricity is not going to work. Cormodor has an interesting stat spread with very low HP of only base 50, but a massive 130 base defense, 118 speed, so it's really fast, and an okay attack stat. And the best tool Cormodor has going for it is Belly Drum. It's very effective at using Belly Drum because it has that safety net of Intimidate or Volt Absorb to give it extra turns to take a hit. And with a Citrus Berry that activates after Belly Drum, healing you back up, you can now use Acrobatics. And Cormodor has a great offensive move pool with Drain Punch and Bullet Punch for priority. What a cool Belly Drum sweeper this is. Up next is the Ghost type representative, one of their greatest creative triumphs. This is brilliant stuff. Pajantum. Pajantum, folks. This is a Pajama Phantom. It's so beautiful. I love the 3D model and the name. It appears to be a little guy sleeping, and the pajamas have formed a ghost around him that he's riding on, which is just so cool. What a creative idea. I love it. The ability is is Comatose. I mean, it's a perfect option. Comatose. The ability of Komala, which is an ability that means your Pokemon is always considered to be asleep. And since they're considered to be asleep, they're immune to status ailments, and they can use unique sleeping effects like Snore and Sleep Talk you can only usually use while asleep. Pajantum is a physical attacking Ghost Dragon type Pokemon with a massive 133 base attack. Very solid speed stat of 101 base, matching Garchomp, and high special defense too, so an interesting stat spread here. This also gets Spirit Shackle, which is the signature move of Decidueye. Spirit Shackle is a ghost physical move that traps you, prevents you from switching. Somehow feels fitting on this, thematically. You also get Outrage for Dragon Stab and Earthquake for coverage, as well as Toxic Spikes for some random utility, as some ghost types do get Toxic Spikes. Other options include just Dragon Claw or Crunch for alternative attacks. Ice Punch, Leech Life, or Temper Flare is an interesting choice for fire coverage too. Pretty cool move pool on this. And what a scary Pokemon. And very threatening Dragon Ghost type who's immune to being statused and has a lot of different coverage. I think it feels balanced though. I mean, honestly, I think Dragapult is still the better Pokemon. This isn't broken or anything. And I mean, just think of all the dragon type wall breakers we've seen over the years. Every new generation has a new one. This is so much more unique than many of them with the ghost typing and Comatose. It's like simple, but a nice twist on a simple idea, a simple archetype that has existed in many forms. I really like it. Up next is Dark type, and I absolutely love Malaconda. Malaconda is a sinister looking snake creature with fruit growing on it and some grass growing on it. It is a dark grass type, but it absolutely looks like one, doesn't it? It has the ability Drought, which is really cool from a flavor perspective and a game design perspective, in my opinion. We've never seen a Drought Pokemon with this typing. I think every Drought Pokemon is a fire type except for Groudon, but it would be really cool to see one with a different type combo like this. And this guy looks like he would create a Drought. He's got a sinister look in his eyes. Like, as he walks, the flowers around him die in his presence or something. This guy has Parting Shot, which is so good on a weather setter. You can directly pivot out. It's one of the great things about Pelipper is it has U-turn to pivot into the rain abusers immediately, and Malaconda can do much the same thing. Also has Knock Off, which is always good. Glare for the paralysis. Synthesis in Drought. I don't think any Pokemon has had this combo before. Drought with Synthesis for that incredible 75% heal in the sun. And stats-wise, the guy has really good bulk, high HP, special defense and attack, but low speed, low defense. A targetable typing, of course, with times 4 weakness to U-turn. It's vulnerable to fire-type moves that it itself is buffing, so I think that is a point that makes it balanced. I love this. I think it's a really fresh approach to a weather setter. It's got good utility, but it's got defensive shortcomings. I think it's great all around. And there's no 3D model for this, unfortunately, but this is an animated sprite and it looks really good. Up next is the fire type, and this is my favorite Pokemon in the whole Cap project. I think this is a masterpiece. Mollux, the fire poison type. This is a snail-looking creature with a lava lamp as its shell. It's just so simple and brilliant. If this was in a Pokemon game, this would absolutely be a fan favorite, and there's no question it would fit right in. You could probably trick someone into thinking this is a real Pokemon. It is so lovable, and I really like that they're trying to make a defensive fire type with a fire poison typing and make it functional. Really love the way this is designed. It has dry skin, which grants water immunity, which is a great start. Fire type immune to water. It doesn't feel out of place on the Pokemon at all. It looks like it's got dry skin, I think. It also gets healing in the rain, so it's a fire poison type bulky Pokemon that can function on rain teams. What a concept. What a flipping of usual roles. But of course it gets more damaged by fire moves and takes damage in the sun. Kind of unfortunate because there's so many good drought setting Pokemon in Cap. The Mollux has a tough time there, but the stats are great on this. Very well balanced with high special defense and solid HP and great special attack. It has Recover. I like that in Cap they give a lot of things Recover. A lot of almost good Pokemon just don't have Recover and it makes them bad. And this has Stealth Rock. It can create hazards. Lava Plume hits pretty hard on this with its high special attack and spreads burn. And Clear Smog is a little utility option that can get rid of stat stages and boosts on the enemy. It's such a well-balanced Pokemon. Doesn't feel annoying to fight at all. It's just a really cool and unique defensive guy with a visual design and a gameplay design that feel harmonious in every way. It's an absolute triumph. And I can only wish that such a thing really existed. There is only one new Ice-type Pokemon in the Cap format, but it's a really interesting Pokemon. And that is Cyclant, the Ice Bug-type Pokemon. No 3D model for this, unfortunately. Great pixel art for it, but no animated sprite either. But what we've got here is beautiful. I love the color on this, the teal color with the shards of ice coming out of it like spikes. Very nice for an ice bug type. And this ability, I mean, you can tell this is designed by competitive singles players, but it's kind of brilliant either way. Mountaineer is a new ability on this. It's an ice bug type, of course, so it's times 4 weak to rock, which is devastating. But this ability means that on switch in, you avoid all rock type attacks for the first turn. So you are completely immune to rock on the turn you switch in only. Beyond that first turn, of course, you can be hit by rock type moves. But the turn you switch in, you're immune temporarily. And you're immune to stealth rock on the first turn you come in. So this doesn't need to run boots to be able to switch on the field. It can ignore stealth rock as it comes in and rock type attacks. This is so competitive singles brained. It's clear that they engineered this just so this could switch in, but I still think it's a kind of a brilliant ability concept that makes this ice bug type Pokemon, which is such a dreadful typing. I mean, look at Frostmoth. Nothing can save Frostmoth from its typing. But this can save Cyclant from its typing. Cyclant can function because of this ability, and this Pokemon is a speedy mixed attacker, which is just lovely. And what I like about this is that the offensive stats aren't through the roof or anything, but they're well balanced. 116 attack and 114 special attack, so threatening on both sides of the attacking spectrum while not being overwhelming or anything. And it's a fun pivot because it got U-turn. It has tail glow random. They give more things tail glow in this. That's really cool. It's got stab, ice beam, and earth power, and some good physical options too, like close combat and earthquake and focus punch. That's fun. Ice shard, icicle crash, leech life. Such a vast move pool of physical and special attacks. It's almost like an Iron Valiant-esque Pokemon, but I love that this doesn't need boots to be like this archetype of fast pivot guy. It'd probably be decent with boots, but the fact that you can actually use the item slot on something else is really cool. You can go compound eyes on this if you want. That's another ability that just grants accuracy. That can be useful, and then you do just run boots to ignore rocks instead, but I mean, how can you pass up such an epic ability of Mountaineer? Up next for the Steel type representative, a Steel type Pokemon. We've got one of the most unique guys in the whole thing. Naviathan. Like a Navy Leviathan. It looks like a Viking ship, but it's also a big sea beast. I mean, this is just sheer brilliance at work. This is a Guts physical attacker. Guts. I'm sure you're familiar with it. You get an attack boost if you are statused. Many Pokemon get it, but we've never seen a water steel Pokemon with Guts. It's a unique typing for this genre of Pokemon. The stats are very well balanced. About 100 HP, 110 attack. Naviathan is clearly leaning on the merits of its defensive typing to find Dragon Dance setup opportunities. And it has the cool combo of Wave Crash, which, by the way, fits thematically so much. The Wave Crash on this makes perfect sense. Which has high power but recoil, and then you have Slack Off to heal that back up. Pretty simple design, all things considered, in terms of gameplay, but it does feel like a unique twist. I think matches the visual. Great 3D model. Another win for the Cap project in my eyes. This is such a cool one. Up next, you got the Fairy type. And for Fairy, we have Hemogoblin, who is a Fairy Fire type, a typing that doesn't exist in the main series yet. And Hemogoblin is one of the best boost sweepers in the format, actually. Despite having very low stats, the stats are extremely modest, with the highest one being 96 in physical attack. 55 base speed is kind of atrocious, and everything else is just average, but that fantastic Fairy Fire typing, granting some of the best stab types you can get, and the ability Pixelate certainly make up for those shortcomings on the stats side. Hemogoblin with Pixelate gets all of its normal type moves converted into Fairy type moves with a 1.2x power boost. And crucially, you get Extreme Speed, which has priority on it, 80 power, that gets buffed with Pixelate and turned into a Fairy move. So one of the best offensive moves in the game is on Hemogoblin, a Fairy type Extreme Speed with about 100 something power. Incredible stuff. You also get Bulk Up and Flare Blitz, which is extremely complementary, hitting Steel types, being stab boosted, high power. I love the gameplay design of Hemogoblin because it's got an incredible strength in one area, but it's the limitation in the stats. I love a Pokemon with some well-balanced pros and cons. Maybe its one-dimensionality makes it exploitable because you're expecting the extreme speed, and that's its whole thing. But that is such a potent option that it's still incredibly good regardless. These kinds of offensive threats, I think, make for healthy metagames. In terms of the visual design in the name, I also like it. It's a bit freaky looking. It's like a human heart with flames coming out of it, and it's kind of an abomination, but you can't deny that it's creative. It's the good wordplay in the name, and just a really interesting and well-done Pokemon design, I think. And for the electric type representative, I've gone with a Pokemon that has a fairly similar design philosophy. Carabolt is a grass electric type Pokemon, a typing we don't see too often in the main series. What a majestic looking Pokemon, by the way. Really captures the imagination. Looks like something out of a Princess Mononoke or something like that. And this Pokemon has Galvanize, which is similar to Pixelate, but for electric moves. All normal type attacks become electric and have a 1.2x power boost. A Carabolt, similarly to Hemogoblin, Scovillain has modest stats as well. Average HP, defense, pretty good attack, but nothing incredible, and slightly above average on the speed side. But the power boost from Galvanize is what really makes this an interesting choice. What's also cool about this is it gets Rapid Spin, and Rapid Spin becomes electric. We've seen this before on Alolan Golem. Can run Galvanize with Rapid Spin and get an electric type Rapid Spin, but Parabolt here can not only take advantage of the utility of that, but use it as a speed boosting move, kind of like a little flame charge adjacent thing, just to boost its speed and remove hazards if you need to. Bit of roll compression there, utility and a boosting move combined. Double Edge hits incredibly hard with Galvanize, and Horn Leech is a perfect complementary option that also bits on the Pokemon's got horns on, recovering the damage you deal to yourself with that double edge recoil. Really like this approach to a Galvanized Sweeper. They considered the stat distribution to make it balanced, and Grass Electric Physical Sweeper, we've never seen that before. Rapid Spin feels like such a cool choice on that, and the visual design is so majestic. Love it. It does look similar to Pokemon we've seen before. It almost gives some Sourcebuck sort of qualities, but I do think it stands out enough to be its own unique entity. For the Dragon type representative, I went with a really unique one. Astrolotl. It's an astral projecting axolotl. Kind of a crazy visual, I gotta say. And this is a Fire Dragon type Pokemon with the ability Regenerator. There is a comparable Pokemon to this. Hydrapple is also a dragon type with Regenerator on it, but Astrolotl feels very unique for a Regenerator Pokemon. Considering it has a Regenerator, the stats are impressive with really good HP in particular. High speed is also really nice and very solid attacks that have 108. This has Fire Lash, which is a great fire type physical move that lowers defense on hit 100% of the time. And this is a Spikes Setter. A Spikes setting Regenerator Pokemon is kind of insane. Will-O-Wisp is really good status on this as well. And Stomping Tantrum's kind of perfect to hit like Heatran or the similar Flash Fire Pokemon trying to block your Fire Lash or your Will-O-Wisp. You even get good utility like Encore on this, and Healing Wish could be a good choice on offensive teams. Taunt and Thunder Wave you can never go wrong with. We've seen Fire Dragon types many times in the franchise before, but never a defensive utility Fire Dragon type, have we? And it's a good typing for it. Your only weaknesses are to Rock and Ground. You got immunity to Burn. Fire Dragon are very complementary because you patch up the weaknesses you usually have to Ice and Fairy and Water. They're very nice together. You could probably call this one a little bit overturned. It's pretty crazy. This is a lot to have on a Regenerator Pokemon, and with such a great defensive typing too, but I do think it's very creative, and the visual design is interesting. A Space Axolotl with regenerative powers. Astrolotl is a beautiful name. And finally, the Grass type, the final Pokemon here today, is Pyroke, a Grass Fire type Pokemon. We have seen a Grass Fire type Pokemon in the main series now. Scovillain was the first one ever, but Scovillain was a little bit underwhelming for the first ever Grass Fire type. It's not very powerful. It's an okay chlorophyll Pokemon, but a little bit undercooked. It feels like this typing has a lot of potential that this new Pokemon didn't quite capture. But Pyroke really leans into the potential strengths of a Grass Fire type Pokemon. Visually, this is just awesome. Big flaming wooden guy with particle effects on it. Very good work on the 3D model. And this has the ability Contrary, which is one of the best offensive abilities in the game, inverting all stat stage changes. Crucially, Overheat, which usually lowers your special attack by 2, will now raise your special attack by 2. What a concept. Pyroke is interesting on the stats side. High HP, decent defense, but very low speed, very low special defense, and only 70 special attack. Feels like a pretty well-balanced stat distribution for something with Overheat and Contrary. That could easily be broken, but they've factored that into the stats. It reminds me almost of Superior, who relies on the Leaf Storm Contrary combo, but its stats are very average. This is similar, leaning more into the defensive side on the stat spread, but this has Overheat, Giga Drain for Grass Stab, Earth Power is perfect coverage, and Synthesis for a source of healing as well. There aren't really that many other noteworthy moves you can use to take advantage of Contrary. I feel like they do that a lot. There's like one good move that takes advantage of Contrary on the Pokemon. But you can use Terra Blast with Terra Stella, which we've sometimes seen in Gen 9 OU on Superior and Enamorus, because Terra Stella is a neutral Terra Blast type that deals super effective damage to enemies that have Terastallized and also lowers your attack and special attack after being used. But because you have Contrary, you will instead raise your attack and special attack by 1 when using it. Can be a really good just neutral attack that hits a lot of stuff, punishes Terra'd enemies, and ramped up with repeated use. So that's another way to go to take advantage of Contrary on this if you want to. And there you have it, folks. One example of a new Pokemon concept in the cap format for every single type in the game. Overall, I think that the majority of these Pokemon are peak Fakemon design. They are really well balanced, really well considered in every regard. Gameplay, flavor, name, visual. There's so much effort going into this. The process behind it is very well thought out and meticulous. I believe there's a team of people that all work on these designs and they do great work. Some of them are a bit over-designed, like maybe Argonaut in particular has a bit too much advantages. I don't know if the pirate octopus thing matches with its role as just a guy who heals and has spikes and knock off and stuff. I guess a pirate would knock off an item, maybe. That's what they do, perhaps. If I were to nitpick, I like Argonaut though overall, I would say. And I think most of these are just really cool. My favorite is, of course, Mollux. We love Mollux, don't we, folks? What a masterpiece. And how can you not like Pagantum? That's so cool. Leviathan. And it feels like there's a great range of design categories here, if that makes sense. You got like an epic legendary looking guy like Carabolt. I mean, that looks like it could be an actual legendary Pokemon. Same with Chromera. But then there's Fidget, who just looks like a weird freak that you would find in like the middle of Gen 5 or something. Similar to Garbodor. It's just a weird biter with hands. And then there's Mollux, who would probably be a fan favorite with the cute visual that's very creative. A great range of different creature designs here, all thriving in their own ways. Some competitively central, some more niche, and I think that's a great thing. Who's your favorite of the Capmons shown here? Let me know down below in the comments, and thank you for watching.